introduce, Rich Ledman has stopped by, our county supervisor for District 2. We actually had the college in today, live in the studio. So let me introduce the college first. Because
are they more entertaining
than you?
Yeah.
Nobody's more entertaining than you, Rich.
Well, no, there are a lot of people more entertaining. I see them during Call to Public.
Yes. Jay Leno couldn't make it today. So we have two gentlemen from the college. We have Jason G.
You have Jason G., Dean of the Career and Tech Ed programs for the college.
Career and Tech Ed. And then we also have Ryan Walker, who is the director of AMTC. What is that?
That is our new Advanced Manufacturing Training Center in Kingman.
Oh, that's brand new.
Yes, sir. We've been open just a couple of months.
Wow, how exciting.
Larry, it's fantastic.
Because you were there to cut the ribbon.
Yeah, and I was there like 2 trips before to see what the progress on the building was like. And I got to tell you, that's a, are we allowed to say damn? That's
sure.
a damn good facility. Boy, district, colleges, just wonderful on it.
I think that's a real advancement for the college.
It is. It was huge. It was a huge step for us.
So explain in detail what you're doing in that building.
So that's a new site where we're able to bring some new skills to the area, things like industrial maintenance and fundamentals of manufacturing. We've also opened an innovation space and a maker space there so that people can do 3D printing and laser engraving and things like that. And it also was an opportunity for us to sort of expand some of our existing programs, like our HVAC skills and welding and fabrication skills there in Kingman.
And so you're the director over all that?
Yes, sir. Just that's a pretty lofty title, but
how do you come to be the director of all of that?
That's a great story, right?
Well, so I've been with the college for about 7 years now. I started out as just a lab assistant in the welding department, and slowly sort of took on more responsibility as I went into from just cutting and prepping metal to equipment repair to ordering and receiving, and then I was given the opportunity to be to do some teaching community ed and corporate ed classes in manufacturing skills and like industrial electrical, some of my kind of bread and butter from my previous jobs.
Okay.
And then with Jason's sort of vision for this building and me working closely with him in other parts of career and technical ed, I was given the opportunity to sort of build my dream job with day-to-day operations of this new building.
So, yeah, in essence, he's the organizational factor behind my dreaming and all of my big picture concepts. I come up with an idea, and then I say, okay, now we need to make it possible organizationally, and he was one of the people that I could rely on to help do that.
Okay. So then how many people are working in this facility that's brand new?
So we have about
10 faculty.
Yeah, 10 full-time faculty, another dozen part-time instructors, various staff and facility support people.
So in the 2 months that you've been open, what's your population of students that are in there?
So right now, the programs that have been running strong have been our HVAC programs just completed. One of their rounds of classes, welding and fabrication have both been running strong. Our CAD classes didn't run this semester. They're going to start in the spring, in January.
Okay.
On the 12th. And then a little later on next year is going to be manufacturing and industrial maintenance.
So to give you an idea of how that compares to before, we had a very small HVAC program that was running out of basically a single-car garage.
Here in Bullhead, right?
Well, it's here, but it was actually in Kingman as well.
Okay.
And we were able to triple the enrollment right off the bat in HVAC alone, just because of the size and scope of the space.
And I would assume that every air conditioning owner in town called you and said thanks?
Yeah, well, they haven't yet, but I'm hoping so.
Because they're always looking for people.
Absolutely, yeah. So we are now able, because of that expansion, we're training approximately 100 entry-level HVAC staff a year.
Okay.
So that's a huge change for us.
That is.
I mean, we went basically from 65 to 70 to that 100 that we're at now. So that was again, a huge advantage. Welding, we were pretty strong already in Kingman as well as here, and but we were able to add fabrication, and that was the real big change for us there, because we didn't have room for that before.
Because when it comes to heating and air conditioning, you're often manufacturing some of the tubes and some of the ways that people get heat in their homes and businesses.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And this fabrication goes beyond HVAC, but it goes into like the power sports world for like roll cages of vehicles.
Oh.
You think about all the dock work that is done along the river. That's all done through fabrication. Metal stairways and things like that. These are all things that we're training people to do.
And this is all part of under the CTE programs?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Rich, look what you're learning by stopping by.
Oh, no. I've the only thing I would mention is the location of this facility is inside that Kingman Airport Industrial Park. Yes. Plays to the need. I mean, I'm assuming you picked that location for a reason.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and it was very well done.
Let's talk about some of the classes that you're offering right now before we take a commercial break. Go ahead.
So, our existing programs in welding and fabrication, HVAC, and then CAD in the spring.
When you say CAD, most people think computer-aided dispatch, but you're not talking...
apologies. Computer-aided design or computer-aided drafting.
Okay.
And then manufacturing and industrial maintenance should be fall of 26.
Perfect.
And we're working on robotics as well, so that'll be here coming soon.
We have Ryan and Jason talking about basically everything that you don't get a degree for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We really focus on short-term certificates, mostly because in most cases the full-blown degree isn't something that's essential for the job market. And so we've really tried to focus on really getting our students the skills that are needed and getting in conversation with the companies and the businesses around. Like you mentioned, the location, right?
Right.
That location was super important because we have so many businesses who are calling for the skills that we have in the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center. And we have that philosophy everywhere that we do career and tech ed programming. You know, whether that's in Havasu or Bullhead or wherever, we have that same philosophy.
I have a young lady who works at Arizona Comfort Solutions who takes care of my home and crawls up in my attic and does everything. I mean, and she got her certificate and everything from Mohave College.
Yes.
And right here in Bullhead City.
Yeah, and it's really great because we're we're also focusing on the opportunities for students to kind of fill those gaps between the silos of skills, right? So we're traditionally think about a program as saying this is an electrical program or this is an HVAC program. But the reality is there's a whole bunch of information that's both redundant in both programs,
right?
Or there are jobs that require someone to be able to be skilled in both.
Yes.
And so that was one of the things that we did is we actually do have degrees, but those degrees are set up so that students can take chunks of information. Like if they wanted to combine air conditioning with automotive, they can take those two things, take some business courses so that they could be a manager or something like that, or even an entrepreneur. And then the most basic general education courses, and then they could walk away with an associate's degree.
And, you know, most of them aspire to, at some point in time, run the company.
Exactly. Be the manager, be the owner. And it's a great opportunity for welders, for example, who are really skilled. We've had a number of different situations. We've even had faculty who have worked for us, had a side job, and that side job becomes so beneficial for their family that they end up leaving us to go and do that side job full time, right?
Well,
and we want that. We want those kinds of successes because that's great for them. It's great for our community to have those people, you know, bringing in additional jobs as well as they grow their businesses.
Well, and that's the important part is that everybody. I don't know what's going on with this board here today. There we go. I think that they want to advance.
Yes.
You don't want them leaving the college, so you want to prepare more students to have those areas of expertise.
Yes.
So you don't lose your instructors.
Correct. And we actually have a built-in system, right? Our part-timers are very often become our full-timers. So it's almost like a farm system in baseball, right? You have them right there for you. You train them up, you build them up, and give them the skills that they need to take on the full-time profession.
So between the two campuses, just in HVAC, what would you say you have in students?
Between Bullhead and Kingman, we have 65, 75.
And I know there's a big need for that because people
Absolutely.
come and go. You know, they
Yes.
move out of the area. They get the skills and they go, well, I can make $85 an hour in California. Well, you can also pay $3,000 a month rent, but they don't think about that.
That's exactly true.
You know? So off they go.
Yes.
So we have a turnover that's just that. Not to mention the fact that some people think, well, now you're ready to promote from running around fixing air conditioning to being an assistant manager of my business.
Correct.
Now you got to find someone to replace them in the field.
Right, and we, HVAC, you may be working in an apartment complex, right?
Right.
I mean, there's all different sorts of opportunities once you have that knowledge. Dot Foods, they've got big units, right? And there's a lot of money to be had when you're working at the casinos across the river, when you're working for someone like a Dot Foods or a Nucor Steel or one of these other places where cooling becomes a major factor in the things that they do.
Well, look at our Bullhead City. Think of all the buildings that the city of Bullhead City has.
True. Bullhead City
Hall.
proper.
You got the Senior Enrichment Center. You got the Optimum Center. And
right.
Now you're going to have the
school districts, right?
Yeah, school districts. Same thing.
Hospitals.
Hospitals.
Yep.
They all need good quality HVAC people that might have more skills than just HVAC.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, mostly they usually do.
Right.
So that's the great thing about how our philosophy has really changed from that traditional stick in one field and don't ever look to the right or to the left. We encourage people to take multiple programs to figure out ways.
Well, and too many of us in our lives had different jobs, but they kind of overlapped at some point in time. Or
True.
Something that you learned from one benefited you in the next one.
Correct.
I think of our public information officer at our police department. Her degree is in media and reporting. She was a reporter who became our public information officer,
True.
who now works in property and evidence and PIO. When you think about people who have taken jobs and left their career or flipped into something totally different.
Right.
It happens all the time.
The industrial maintenance program is really the essence of this. It brings it completely to front and center this diversity. Ryan, why don't you talk about those different areas that are in that?
Yeah, that's traditionally a discipline that really takes a jack of all trades. Not only do you have to be good at electrical and troubleshooting, AC/DC theory, motor controls, all of that, but all the other systems that go into making a manufacturing plant or an industrial, any sort of industrial facility operate. So in addition to electrical, you've got fluid power like hydraulics and pneumatics. You've got mechanical power transmission, belts, bearings, chains, shafts, gears, gearboxes, all of those
PLCs.
things. Yeah, PLCs, and then preventative maintenance and vibration analysis, laser shaft alignment. That's the sort of things like you have to know. If not be a jack of all those trades, you have to be a master of most of them to put all those skills together and effectively mitigate breakdowns and troubleshoot complex scenarios in really complex manufacturing systems.
Right. And when you think back of the HVAC person, if they're working in installation where they're putting units into homes, you have to make everything level.
Yes.
And that's something you don't stop and think about. You have to bring those parts usually up into an attic in what turns into be the overall heating and air conditioning system comes in 8 or 9 parts so you can get them through a little hole up into the attic.
That's correct.
So there's a lot more to it than just cool air, hot air.
Right, absolutely.
There you need skills in carpentry and fabrication and lifting and rigging if you're putting rooftop units on with a crane. And yeah, it's...
Yeah, and once you bring in a crane, it's totally different now. Talk about leveling.
Yeah, on a whole different scale.
Well, yeah, and figuring out where usually the crane operator is going to park and set up to be able to lift your unit up and put it up on the roof if you're replacing one. No, there's a lot more to it than just the HVAC side.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, what about the CTE programs? What other programs do you offer?
So we do automotive, automotive repair as well as automotive collision and paint. We have a third party doing CDL, or commercial truck driving.
Right. Which again goes back to Dot Foods because
correct.
People again they start driving for Dot Foods and then they drive across the country and go, I think I want to move here, and they lose a driver. You know,
for sure.
So they're always needing drivers.
Absolutely. We have our residential electrical program. We have a construction trades program. So that's one that we're in the process of rolling out right now. That's home building, plain and simple, right? Anything that's the smaller structures. We do have we're working on getting some things like heavy equipment operator.
Oh.
So running the backhoes and the front end loaders and the skid steers and all of those different big, larger pieces of equipment. We would like to eventually get up into the really heavy stuff that's like for the roads and, road graders and the earth movers and things like that. But we're not quite there yet.
Well, and at that point in time is when all your cities start calling you and the county starts calling you and says, look, we need someone to help us on these roads. You got somebody there in your class?
Well, ironically, let me tell you about a cool conversation that we just had. Mark Clark from Bullhead City Utilities gave us a call and said, we need people.
Right.
So he brought all of his department leads over. Him and his department leads came over, and we had this great conversation. And we're looking to build a customized program for their water and wastewater areas.
Right.
Right. And it's a whole discussion of all of this mixed bag of skills.
Now that you've just said this on Speak Out 2.0, you realize that the city of Kingman's going to call you. Havasu's going to call you. The county's going to call you.
That's what we want.
Needles will be calling.
Yes, yeah. I hope so. I really do, because that it really changes how we offer and provide. We are trying to make that as a focus in career and tech ed.
So then, do you go to the high schools and say, all of those of you who raise your hand if you play with Tonka toys, and then you draft them into your class?
Yeah, we do, actually. Yeah, I usually use the Lincoln Logs, right?
Yeah.
Or the Erector set.
Yeah, now it's Legos and, Hot Wheels.
That's right.
Right. So, but this is kind of the goal of the college is to, I can remember when they used to teach dealing at the college because you had across the river saying, we need dealers. You're trying to meet the needs of not just our 3 cities and the Strip, but you're trying to meet the needs of the 3 cities in the Strip 5 and 10 years from now.
Yes, absolutely.
Down the road.
Everything, and like I was saying about robotics, right? We have a few companies that are utilizing robotics, but for the most part, it's not something that's prevalent here.
Right.
But we want to be prepared, right? We want to be in the place so that when 3D printing becomes the norm, we are doing it already, and then we can train people in that 3D printing.
I saw a young boy, I think he was 8, and he had a 3D printer at the college when Grace Heck was doing her Young Wonders there.
Yes.
And he was making, he would stick in this piece of plastic. It reminded me of something that I did when I was a kid, but he could tell his computer to print out a fire truck, and it would come out of this piece of plastic, but it was 3D when you put it together.
Right.
And I thought, and the mom was like, yeah, he can do this. And I'm like, how? And she goes, I don't know. He's 8 years old doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
With a computer and a printer.
Yep.
And so it's here.
Absolutely. It is here. And so now we take it to an industrial or a commercial level, right?
Yeah.
And we're working on getting a metal 3D printer so that we could actually generate like motor parts, right? Actual gears, things that might be difficult to obtain because your equipment's out of date. They don't make the parts anymore. We would be able to scan the old part, because we have a scanner that allows us to take that, put it into a computer-aided design program, make any modifications we need to, take it to the 3D printer, print it out. Now you've got the part.
You need to call the river cruisers because they've all got these old cars and there's no parts for them. They're going to want to sit down with you and have lunch and say, let's talk about this. You know, we can figure out how to make this work.
Yep. When we get to that point where we have that metal capability, and again, that's just something that it's just fairly expensive, right? So we've got to work our way up to getting that. But we're already doing resin. We're already doing the plastic. And then we've got laser that does the engraving and cutting as well. So we really are trying to be diverse and think ahead for what are the needs going to be.
And I think that's fantastic because, again, you guys are looking down the road.
Yes.
You know, the college is not just stuck in today. But they did just pin a whole bunch of nurses last week, I believe.
Yes, they did a great job with that. Yeah, let's be real about that. And they just approved our cosmetology program. So we are in the process of putting that together now, and we hope to have that ready to go, if not this coming fall, this coming spring, so a year from now.
Right.
That was the highest demanded thing when we did our last survey. Community survey. Cosmetology.
Okay.
And so we responded. I feel like the college responded to what our communities as a whole were demanding.
Well, and I know that James has been in here, and he has said that the college, and even when Klippenstein was here a few months ago, he said that the launch and the search for a new president of the college will take a year. And now most people think, why does it take a year to find a director of the college, a guy to run the college? It's 4 buildings. What are we talking about here? But in reality, the interviewing and the prerequisites for that person is, I think Klippenstein took us to where we are today.
Absolutely.
The next guy needs to take us to where we're going to be in 5 and 10 years.
That's correct.
I say gal, but it could be
man or a woman.
Could be a man or a woman.
Yep.
It could be the next person that walks in the door here that decides they want to apply for the job. I don't know, but I can see why they want to take that kind of time to look for that person, because it's got to be the right person to lead the.
Right.
4 campuses. Mohave County is not small.
Yeah, no. Geographically, it's enormous. And the diversity of need is very interesting. Each city, each township has different needs and demands. And so it's important that we listen to the totality of that, not get into an echo chamber and listen to only one person or one group or another.
Right, exactly. Well, and like you said, Mark Clark and his team went and met with you and said, here's what we need you to do. But more people want more too. And when you create these individuals and you create these courses, it's not going to be just Bullhead City that's going to want them.
Correct.
It's going to be all the cities.
Correct.
And you're going to get more requests. So are most of these classes that you're looking at developing going to be on the Bullhead campus, or are you looking at all 4 campuses?
So we look across the board. It really is about demand. But one of the cool things, again, going back to our industrial maintenance as the example, it's portable. All of our equipment is desktop. You could sit it on this table, pack it up,
suitcase
and
size,
haul it to the next place.
Portable, mobile.
So you may have the same course in all 3 cities. You just move everything around.
We just move things around. Exactly. We thought of that as well as one of those things that's important, right? Because we know, like we spent, $750,000 on the industrial maintenance equipment alone.
Correct.
And that $750,000 serves Kingman, yes, but it serves Bullhead, it serves Havasu, it serves Colorado City. It can literally serve someone at their work location, because we can take it into their sites and do it right there in their place if that's what is asked for.
So that's big for our college also, is meeting the needs of businesses in the business.
Yes, absolutely. We actually purchased a second trailer. We had our mobile welding lab, if you recall us talking about that before. Mm-hmm. We purchased a second trailer so that this industrial maintenance can hit the road as well.
Good. I'm excited. I'm excited for the college. I'm excited for our community.
Yeah, it's great.
Gentlemen, how do the public get in touch with you if they have questions about your programs?
So Ryan Walker is our best point of contact for anything that's at the AMTC.
Okay.
Ryan, tell them your number because I don't remember it. Sorry.
Well, we created a blanket email, amtc@mohave.edu.
Okay. AMTC.
Yep.
For Mohave.edu.
Any kind of information.
And I would imagine from the website you can find all
Absolutely.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And the college website is www.mohave.edu. Mohave with an H. Make sure.
Right.
I mean, most people know that, but everyone.
Unless they're from California,
right,
where they spell it with a J.
Where they spell it with a J, right?
Yeah. I know, because when I first moved out here, I went, well, how come Mohave Desert is spelled different than Mohave County? But you find these things out when you move around.
That's correct.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in today. Great information.
Thank you
for having us.